So I'm going to show you a couple of ways that you could think about adding a floor. And right now I'm just going to focus on this volume. I'm not going to worry about the glassy area that I'm going to add. I just want to show you a couple simple ways. So one way to create a floor would be to extract part of this figure, the top plane, and this type of floor creation will only work if you have a pretty clean extrusion, something which is perfectly extruded from vertical. And that assumes that the cross section of this volume is the same from top to bottom. If it is, I could simply use one of these planes to create a floor and then array those floors through the area of the volume. That would sort of replace maybe the solid that I'm working with and place floors instead. So to work with that plane, I'm going to use my sub-object select and select that top plane. I can actually do this in one step. If I hold my option, which allows me to duplicate this rather than move this, and click on the part of the gumball that allows me to extrude, I can go ahead and input 1 foot. Actually, I think in the assignment I put 2 feet, and hit enter. And you'll see now that I've created this separate object which is sitting on top of my Culper Folly. It's a 2 foot thick profile with the same geometry. That's a great little floor. So I could move this object to the bottom and array it, move it to the top, move it to any kind of location that I wanted. And I'm gonna have you do that. If you don't have a uniform cross section, you may want to take a different approach. So let's just say, for other intents, that I don't have a uniform cross section. I've got this kind of twisted volume. I just took this little object over and played with it for a minute, made it a little bit bigger. But let's say that I need to install floors inside of this. This is that second method that I'm going to show to you. So the first step is going to be to create a floor plate that I can use and distribute and then trim to create my shaped floors. So to get the floor plate started, let's start with the box command. We're just going to drag point 1, point 2, and then I can input numerically the height of 2 feet, and that's my floor plane. If I go back to the perspective view, you'll see it a little bit better. So it's kind of up high. If I go to my right view, I can drop it down to the bottom of my object, align bottom, and just start with the floor plate on the bottom level. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that floor plate so that I get multiple copies to create multiple stories. And you could do this with an array command, or you could simply copy and duplicate your objects at a distance that's appropriate. From floor to floor, typically that's going to be somewhere between 12 feet and 15 feet on a public building. This is a house, but it'd still be quite nice to have 12-foot floor-to-floor ceilings. So let's go ahead. We can duplicate at 12 feet, and I've got my second. Looks like I've also selected my Boolean object, so I'm going to go ahead and erase that. Let's go ahead and redo that action a couple times just to get the 3 floors that I want. So there are my floors. Now I'm going to want to use the intersection, Boolean intersection command, in order to trim those objects with each other. So basically I'm looking for just the space that is occupied by both the volume and the floor. So initiate that Boolean intersection command. You will see that the order in which I'm picking the objects, the first object versus the second object, does determine which layer the new intersectional piece will land on. So if you pick them in different orders, expect to see that the floors are different colors, that they will take on the colors of the parent object depending on the order that you pick them in. So this is the result. It gets a little bit hard to see kind of in this small area, but if I move the blue mask that I used to shape the floors, you can see much better what's happening. The floors, depending on my view, you can see that they're contouring and sort of fitting within a complex volume. And I'm going to want to preserve this blue volume as well for my later shelling to get the exterior wall.